And we're back. This week, we're going to be doing another blind ranking episode on your Commander Hot Takes. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Vessel. Let's jump right in and welcome to the show.
So, what has made you irrationally angry recently?
Why the f did the both of you look at me?
I wonder why.
Jacoby, I don't know if you know this, but you're just kind of, at some points, just generally an angry person.
Hold on. We, in fact, have documented evidence of this podcast of so many things that have made you irrationally angry.
To be fair, my list is over 200 pieces long.
You made so many different F-bombs in one episode that we added like an extra hour to this man's work.
Hold up. Wait. Slow. Roll it back.
F-bombs are not indication of angry.
That. Yes.
No. What anger...
My furious language has nothing to do with my actual fury.
Yeah, no. If they play a card out of turn and you say, eat shit and die, that's Jacoby.
Yes.
This is, in fact, why we turned to look at you. So, our Sultan of Saltiness.
I'm claiming that title now.
We got to make you an X or Twitter account just so you can take it over.
Please tell us.
Tweet nothing, just have it.
Just the Sultan of Salty all over Twitter. Just randomly liking posts. And then putting an angry face in the comments.
Just increase the visibility.
Hi, I'm going to ratio you with anger.
Yes.
So, have you had anything that's made you irrationally angry recently? Or at least had something in the past?
I'm only giving you a dirty look because the last few episodes, my list was still 200 long, and it remains over 200 long.
And growing.
Can you pick one?
Fine. So something that makes me irrationally angry is, at least in the world of Magic, is when people tend to do this thing where they go, oh yeah, no, I blah, 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 I won't ever do that. And then proceed to, in the same turn, take their words, eat them, and then puke on my fucking board state.
Thus doing the thing that they said that they would never do.
Right.
So just lying?
Blatantly lying to your face. An instance is before they stopped coming to the shop, we had an individual who stopped coming after basically having to be bullied out by, you remember Josh, Big Josh? Softest guy there is?
Yeah.
Believe so.
Yeah, very sweet guy. Played games with him and Eric, this third party, who will remain nameless.
You literally just named him.
No, Josh is probably
Josh,
the victim.
Friend, guy who's I'm talking about.
Josh was named as a frame of reference of someone who is still at the shop that was not bullied out.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. This one person spent a lot of time lying about what they would do because they would be like, I won't do XYZ. The rest of the table would be like, you forswear this, because they're going to do different game actions based off of what would happen. Like they'd be like, I'm not going to attack you with this Eldrazi. Like I have zero reason to, and they would make reasons. And the rest of the table would be like, Josh specifically would be like, you promised that. And they said, yeah, totally. To which Josh made their moves. And then they proceed to, on their turn, that rotation, swing at Josh with all of the Eldrazi. Literally after forswearing they wouldn't do these things. To which I proceeded to bully the tar out of them until they left.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem irrational anger. That just seems like justified anger.
That seems very justified.
Well, no, because I definitely came straight to that table. I stared them into their soul, and I proceeded to play a CDH deck until they left. And when they go, man, you're kind of being an asshole, I'd be like, damn right, go the fuck away. Unreasonable levels of intolerance. It makes me unfathomably mad.
Fair enough.
There's reasons to be mad, justifiable anger. The scale breaks at how I feel about it. I don't care who you are. I'm not willing to tolerate that nonsense. I'm going to be the worst kind of douche to you within reason.
I think I personally have the policy of if you break a deal with me, you're kind of done with me politically.
Yep.
In the future. Like if I'm going to I need to get rid of something. And if you do this, I'll gift you a card or something with all these new cards from Bloomburrow. I'm not going to offer those deals to you anymore because I have no belief or faith that you're going to uphold your end of the bargain. So you'll get one on me because I have, the Midwest in me is going to trust someone until you give me a reason not to. But as soon as you do, then I'm not going to make political deals with you anymore.
It's crazy that we've played so many games and made so many deals, and yet you refuse to trust me. Why is that? Why is that?
I trust you.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, I think he does. He's still wanting to look at you funny and be like, "Hey, Joe, please
I trust
don't."
you. I mean, I'll still stab you in the face if it behooves me to do so, but I trust you.
I'm still waiting for that errant 20 damage out of nowhere that's going to make you lose the game.
We haven't played.
I understand.
You've been streaming. Yeah, we have not played since Atlanta. We have not played in this state in like over a month.
It's what happens when we're adults and we're busy.
For all those so inclined, we've had a crazy state of matter locally here between us where we haven't had a whole lot of interaction with our local game stores past maybe Levi. I ended up having a whole slew of work. Joe ended up having a whole slew of work. So we haven't had enough player interaction lately, I don't think.
Well, and I mean, I've also had, a lot of wedding planning stuff come up and whatnot. So there's a lot going on, especially in the summer with things ramping up. I definitely understand that. I do make an effort to try to get as many games like in person as possible, just to kind of see things and experience new things and try out different deck strategies. But
as I would
sometimes
tell
life gets in the way of fun.
Yeah.
Yep. And for our future listeners, when you hear Levi during the months of like August and September, that is very much past Levi because Levi is going to be full on in planning mode for the wedding and then full on honeymoon mode for afterwards.
There will be another day where the owl is away.
We're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. We might have to do some future recording, but not just from the chaos. I think y'all did a great job, but I think just mostly to have as many of us together as possible for as long as we can, as many episodes. I think that just, moving forward, once we get past the honeymoon, it'll be a little bit more regularly scheduled programming here, but we got to do what we got to do by that point. So
plus a lot of the episodes that we're going to have to do, we likely won't even miss a beat once Levi gets back.
Yeah. And by the time we're done with the wedding planning, I have an idea I'm going to end up pitching to you guys for some content for us to do in the future.
I'm excited.
I'm about it.
Yeah, I think Joe would be the most immediately prepped for it, but I think it's in the realm of things we'll enjoy.
Well, mine's something that I've noticed recently at my gym. For those that have memberships, Planet Fitness, they always have this 30-minute workout station routine where there's a bunch of lifting machines and they have some like step-up boxes and stuff. You can do various exercises. So you can kind of get in, do a quick circuit exercise, get out if you're kind of strapped for time. Kind of like a no excuses kind of thing. Every once in a while, if I'm just trying to do like a whole body workout or something, I'll go in and use that machine. For some reason, because like it explicitly says like this area, because it's only like one small room of the entire gym. Like it's just kind of off in the corner. Some people will go in there and just use the machines individually, even though that machine is out on the gym floor. So then you have to like kind of like skip over them or wait for them to be done while you're in the middle of your circuit. And it makes me so mad that like you have an entire gym to do things in. Like 95% of the gym is workout equipment that you can use, but you're coming into my space and going to the machine right in front of me, you bastard.
Get bud.
Like it makes me so mad.
Man, crazy. Oh, man, ready to get this workout done. Oh, hey, that machine's in front of that one guy is empty. Let me just, got in.
Let me just go do my, simulated bench press and not use the other two machines that are wide open that have the exact same thing on the floor. But yeah.
No, that's their favorite one. That's their comfort machine.
I'm more than happy to let you use it, but just use it for the allotted period of time and do the rest of the circuit.
That's their medicinal support machine.
I'm going to take it with them to the airport.
Wow. It's now also medicinal. It's providing them full health benefits. Better than any doctor.
Listen, some people, they get that pump in their chest and they get to flex their pectorals and they're like, yep, this is everything I've ever wanted. As Levi literally does it at me.
For our listeners, it was in fact a nice little peck dance.
It's important to maintain eye contact when you're doing it too.
I can maintain eye contact. I was drawn in.
My eyes are up here, bro.
Ah, yes. Joe, enamored by breasties. The typical Joe fathom.
Yes. Sorry that I like a lot of people.
Proud of you.
Speaking of liking people, how's things with the IT job?
If look, there are definitely some things that I know make people angry, but a lot of these things make me over the moon angry. There was this one guy, literally. I deal with a lot of people's profiles and VPNs, and we send out emails to them automatically saying, hey, get your password reset. Hey, get your password reset. Hey, get your password reset.
I remember.
Every single day once it starts at 15 days out before their password expires. This guy, every single goddamn time. Can I get this password reset? You can do it yourself. The email tells you how.
How old is he?
I have no clue. I have never spoken to this man except through emails. And every single time I am just like, you can do this yourself. You have the capability. Do it. I swear to God, I will read through this computer screen.
Joe is sitting here like, my brother in humanity, please do it. Bring yourself the task you wish to complete.
But then there's also the people that there are certain things that we need to schedule for our work.
Sure.
Very simple, because they are usually needing people to call, whether it's us or them to us, whatever. Our department needs 24 to 48 hours. Do you know how many times I've put in our little thing that says 24 to 48 hours at the very beginning of the thing? Hey, can we get this done today at this time? It's like, no! Did you not read? Clearly you didn't. When did reading comprehension for your problems go out the window? Please.
Sometime in the mid-2000s.
Man, that's crazy that a lot of the people that I've dealt with this, I can confirm you are older than I am.
And we got Joe all fired up now.
Hey, this was irrationally angry. I am irrationally angry about these people.
This was a bad idea.
How does it feel, Joe, to be in my sector of life? This is me at a constant every day.
Now I'm sad.
I will overtake you.
Good luck. Get your list up to the 3-digit mark. We'll talk.
All right. Well, this week on the show, we're going to transition hard past.
This is how we bring ourselves joy. Next transition, disregarding that nonsense.
So we have an Am I the Archenemy that I feel actually does fit into this category of irrationally angry. Joe, take it away.
Am I the archenemy? So me and my friend were facing off with my Coma deck against his Neheb deck. Neheb decks again, but also a Coma. Rude. He doesn't have the actual Neheb, so he used a full art proxy. We were both at low life totals, and I go to tap his creature before combat. I decided not to tap Neheb because if he swings, I could just kill it. He goes to combat and says he wins due to Neheb having afflict 3. I did not see this because his proxy doesn't have any text on it, and he had never swung with it before. I refused to accept the play because there was no way for me to know his card had afflict 3 when his proxy doesn't have any text. We end up backtracking to before combat, and I win the next turn. Him and a couple of my friends argue that he won because even if he had the real card, I wouldn't have read it. I feel bad because he's a bit on a losing streak, and usually I'm very pro-proxy, but I feel if you're playing with proxies, it should be your responsibility to make sure people know what it does. So for everybody, if you've never heard of Afflict, it was a nice little thing from Amonkhet that said, if this creature gets blocked, it deals that much damage to the person who's blocking it.
Yeah, so if it's afflict 3, you blocking it makes you take 3. If it's afflict 1, so on and so forth.
And that was a key part of Neheb because he cared about how much damage he dealt to get mana, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you got 1 red mana in your mana pool for each 1 life your opponent had lost for the turn. It didn't end during phases. So, yeah, because obviously you'd have combat and then you can use in post-combat main phase from that. The main issue with it is Afflict 3 with Neheb is it kind of puts you in a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you block it, you take 3. If you don't block it, you take 4. So it's not a big difference between the two, and it was a 4/6 body. So it's harder to kind of predict what the best option would be for your deck, and especially if you can't kill it.
Yeah, the real difference between the two is, do I want commander damage, or am I okay just taking 3 generic damage?
And even then, it's still like, oh, hey, this guy is still going to get a whole bunch of red mana from this.
You know, that would be such a cool equipment.
Actually, wait, was the mana actually given to you off of combat damage?
No.
The terminology is technically it's at the beginning of your post-combat main phase. Add 1 red mana to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponent have lost this turn.
So if I did
So not
30
even
damage to you via fireball and then went to combat, swung, it would, and the afflict 3 happens. 33 mana.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So I mean, it's even loss of life. So technically, if you had like a Rakdos like life draining deck, like you could still like exsanguinate somebody, get a bunch of mana on your main phase 2, and then do something else.
I truthfully think that nobody is technically wrong or right, because what should have happened is that both of them should have looked up the rulings of Neheb and at least had it at the ready for when that happens.
I do not agree. I totally think this person who asked to back up is wrong. 100%. I don't think they're an asshole, but I think they're wrong. Because here's the thing, right? He goes into the game knowing Neheb is proxied. Because it's the commander. There's no fathomable way he doesn't know it's a proxy. He has the entire game to be like, look at the card or ask what it does. Because the player's never going to be like, I don't know, and not inform him. I mean, that's kind of the etiquette of Magic.
I think the main issue with it is a lot of people don't remember that True Lane has vigilance because it's not necessarily a part of what it's doing, but it is relevant. You could technically attack with True Lane and still hold up his tapping effect, where it's really easy to forget that there was a keyword, especially like a kind of an obscure one like Afflict 3. On a proxy, you can't even like turn the card around to look at what it says. You have to go on somebody's smartphone to look it up.
But that's part of the fact of asking what the card does. Prime example, a real card and a real version of it that exists. 4-color Omnath. There are versions of it that have 0 text. That card has like 3 fucking paragraphs, and some people don't remember that it gains you 4 mana or 4 life or XYZ, and picking up the real card would not tell you that. It is the commander player's objective as the controller of the commander to keep you informed if you cannot read the card. Like,
Also,
if I bring it and you don't go, what's that Omnath do again? It is my job to make sure you understand what it does if you ask, but not to inform you if you don't. If you forget that it gains me life and then you bolt me, and then I gain the 4 life after, you'd be like, oh, I had a better damage spell that would have knocked you out. I forgot he gains you life. It's not my job to inform you if you don't ask me.
But also with that, Wizards, stop printing textless cards that have multiple lines of text, like what you did with like Cryptic Command.
And
That is a
Omnath.
modal spell with 4 different abilities.
But doing it for Steve, we love the Steve. Steve deserved it.
Yeah, I want textless cards of things that everybody, for the most part, knows. Enough that, like, if someone asks me, I can think of it off the top of my head, or somebody at the table more likely could.
Yeah, like Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Path to Exile. Sure. Those aren't an issue. It's like the longer, complex stuff that has a lot of different things going on.
But does Path to Exile give me the life or get me the land?
Path to Exile is a land. Swords Blaster's life.
I hate that. I hate that it's always flipped. Their names mean different things.
With that as well, I think that not asking, but also the Coma player, just tap it down. Like, if you're going to the end game and you're able to win on the next turn anyways, like, why are you just keeping this 3-3 around?
That's also, yeah, like,
The thing is, I'm pretty sure he did do that.
After they ran it back.
Well, no, he specifically tapped down a creature before combat. He didn't think to do that for the Neheb. He did that for what other creature was on his board. This was before that dude went to combat. So he, in fact, already did do something to that effect.
Yeah.
And we don't know if he had like other coma coils or not.
I was under the impression he had multiple. Like he could have tapped it down, but he wanted to keep it up as a blocker, maybe hold it for potential indestructible.
here's my other thing, right? If this situation were more elaborate, let's say Neheb was in the 99. At that point, the textless such and such definitely agree that this guy should have said what he said. It being in the command zone is why I feel the way I feel. Because again, if it's open information, you're able to ask about the entire game, that's on you. Because if you pull out the 4-color Omnath out of your 99 that's textless, I will probably reiterate, hey, what does that do one more time? Because it's in your 99, I'm not staring at it in your command zone. It's not a constant thought in the back of my brain.
But at the same token, if he was not able to make a reasonable decision because it was textless, even if he, quote unquote, everybody said would not be able to read it, then that is in fact still one of the biggest things. Hit being textless, he's like, well, it probably doesn't have any keywords that I need to know about.
If it's in the command zone, you ask what the fuck it does.
Or you do
don't
what I
assume
do. You
anything.
do what I do with my Cody deck, because I in fact currently now have a Cody that does not have the text on it. You have a version of it that has the text on it.
That's totally fair. But Cody also has a lot more words than something like Nahib.
No, I think it has around the same amount.
Cody's ability is a bit more complex than Nahib.
Yeah,
but
I will give
word
you
for
that.
word. That's probably.
Yeah, it's more wordy, I guess, is what I meant. Like Nahib is as simple as it's got a flick 3. What's that do? If you block it, you take 3. And then what else does it do? After combat, I get mana equal to the damage you've taken.
But moral of the story, I feel like they both are kind of the archenemy a little bit, but not like full blown. Nahib player, it's like $2. Buy the card. You can use the proxy and just have it on the backside.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, I don't think anyone
And-
here is the archenemy.
And this other guy, at some point, you might just get got.
I'm in fact looking it up right now. I'm actually going to see
I
if
also-
it is like $2.
But also, like,
Let's see. It
Like-
is. You can get the full art version for $391, and it's $253 for a non
what is he? He's a Minotaur warrior, right?
zombie Minotaur warrior.
This was after he got last attacked.
I'm so sad he's not a wizard.
Ha, get wrecked. Another card of the top 10 things Jacob has to say, but it's not a wizard.
It's not a wizard. Although we have a lot of otter wizards coming with Bloomburrow, I am kind of excited. And I think I will make the exception for tokens that just say otter, because the physical cards are all otter wizards.
We're going to go ahead and dive in to our topic today. We have a new blind ranking list. For the sake of you two, we had a group of 3 do the objective rankings this time. None of the 3 people were the same people that did the rankings last time, so there's no ability to look at the past rankings or opinions and kind of base it off of that. And we're going to be going through. If you get the number correct, you will get 3 points. If you are 1 off, you will get 1 point. I will go through the list and you will say where you would put it on your list from 1 to 10. 1 is, I don't believe this is much of a hot take. This seems like a very reasonable thought. 10 is, this is batshit crazy. Why did someone think this is a good idea? And then we're going to go as we go. I'm going to read off 1 at a time. You're going to tell me where you're putting it and give me a little bit of a reason why.
Okay, but you also didn't tell us who it was the last time, so how could we sync our thoughts?
This is fine.
But I'm keeping everything anonymous.
Yeah, I'm very fond of this. We need to do this more often.
I'm happy to. All right. Are we ready to hop in?
Send it.
Yeah, I was ready for my hottest take of casual sucks.
All right. Let me go ahead and get the list pulled up. First one on the list, we'll go by letters. So letter A, Commander/EDH tournaments aren't real Commander.
EDH tournaments are not Commander.
EDH tournaments are not real Commander is an 8 for me.
8? Why do you put it at 8?
Because it's just a flawed argument on its base, because you're going to get some of the best stories from your tournament experience, just like you would your local game store. And in fact, some people would put more emphasis on that because they have certain plays that they were able to make that may have been their own pseudo gotcha moments that not many can get from their game store. It's a bad take for me. Just full stop.
I also
Jacoby.
put it at 8 because here's the thing, right? If we base a lot of opinions and possible bans off of a section of the format, aka CDH, and also like just tournament based play in general, sorry, not sorry, that opinion makes no sense. It cannot be not real, but also be one of the defining factors of our format. You can't look at axe throwing league and then be like, yeah, you're baseless.
Well, I think a part of it too is, seeing that Commander was supposed to be a casual format. And I think that's kind of where the logic is coming from.
Every casual thing will have its competitive base. It doesn't matter if it started as a casual format. Eventually, people are going to want to play it at a more competitive level because as humans, we have a basis in our population for people to be competitive. Whether you are competitive all of the time or none of the time is completely person on person. But things will usually tend to go more competitive, even if majority of it would stay casual.
Even like look at cornhole, like a sport where you throw sacks into a hole on a board that is a generically just fun game. There's a whole competitive scene for it. And like people base their techniques in that sport based off of what people do at competition.
There's a very strange number of like current active NFL players that like reach national level in cornhole, like in the off season. Like it's kind of strange.
Yeah. Plus, even with the casual format, we have so many people dedicating their time and effort into making the correct decision in a casual game.
I think 8 was a solid choice. I thought the same thing before you said it too.
All right, 8 and 8. Letter B. If you buy a card in a language you cannot read and you do not know exactly what it does, that is incredibly rude to anyone you're playing with.
Darn Aaron Hansen. Just remembering the clip of Tendrils of Agony. Hey, prof, what does Tendrils of Agony do? Did you read the card? Reading the card explains the card. I wish I could.
And he just shows it to him. He's like, oh, God.
It was nice having someone like throw that line back at Prof for once, though. That made me feel pretty good.
Oh, it was hilarious because Prof's just like, oh, no, you're using my words against me.
He said, I can't. Yeah.
Bad language card is going to be a 5 for me.
Wow, we're
kind of in the middle?
Yeah.
We're Joe and I are same brain today.
Yay. Look at us.
Better start shifting it up or else we're going to end up with a tie.
No.
All right, so why the 5? Why the middle?
So because there are, in fact, just resources at our disposable. Yes. The disposable phones that we have. Just toss them out there.
They are a consumable resource by technicality.
Yeah. But the resources at our disposal can get us to where what the card does. Even if you don't know what it does, other people will. The whole basis of Magic was that the card art can be more recognizable for what the card should be able to do. And that's where a lot of the basis for getting like 3 visits in a different language, getting a soul ring. You are not going to be like, what does that do when it has the predominant soul ring art? But at the same token, if you don't know what your cards do, what are you doing playing it in your deck?
You know what really, really stinks? Is whenever you buy a card in foreign language and you forget what the actual name of it is. You're like, I know what it does, but I can't remember the exact name, so I can't look it up. That always sucks.
Yes, I know this is a signet. That's Arcane Signet. Shut up.
Like for a while, like when I first started playing, there was that leveling wizard that copied instant sorcery spells when you get to a certain level. And I got it in Japanese and I forgot the name of the card and it was a nightmare. I was like, I can't use this because every time I need to look it up, I can't figure out what the name is.
Well, it's fine. That's why Scryfall exists. If you know basic Oracle text of what you're trying to look up, you'll find it eventually.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem for people. Yeah, we have it at 5 and 5. We'll move on to letter C here. WotC designing commander-only cards goes against the spirit of the format.
That one, I'm probably going to put it at a 7.
I'm going to put it at a 9.
So yeah, that's a bit of a boomer commander take, I think. Like kind of the people that were starting with it before we had like actual commander-only design product where you're building it off of just whatever scrap you could find. So
ripped the words right out of my mouth like a Popeye's biscuit.
I've heard a lot of people complain in that capacity. Usually the older players, people who kind of came in around, especially the ones that more recently we had like frequently getting commander precons for every set. It's just not necessarily the same.
I'm going to level with you here. It's going to be a 9 because I don't know if there's a hotter take, but also like that ideology makes me look at them and go, okay, boomer, I'm sorry that I like having these pre-adjusted decks and don't own all of the original freaking dual lands and all this from your day and age because they were easier to grab when you were a kid, but away.
I don't think they're caring about like the dual land stuff. I think it's more like Command Tower, Arcane Signet.
No, I know.
Versus like, Rakdos Charm and Rakdos Signet.
No, I get you. I'm just saying like the okay boomer ideology.
Whereas I can understand a little bit of that because there are a lot of cards that were designed for Commander, and the fact that it's not even just violating the spirit of our format, it also violated the spirit of Legacy because the initiative was not supposed to be something to be on a 1v1. It was supposed to be built for a 4-person free-for-all, but that didn't happen because that's not how Legacy works. And that's why they had to ban the primary initiative problem card.
Fun fact, there is a command zone standard that does exist. That's where emblems go.
They also had that same issue with the attractions and stickers because they had to ban those out of formats because it was just logistically hard for people to keep up with that in a game.
Then, like, you were having people in Legacy that were like keeping stickers on their sideboard in the off chance that they were going to clone the sticker goblin.
Because if you don't have the stickers, you can't legally put a sticker on it.
Yeah, so it's very problematic, but we'll go ahead and move on to the next one here. This is letter D. Strong cards like Dockside are bad in casual because they get you targeted out of the game.
Where do I even put that? I want to say that's a 4.
Of course you would agree with me.
Yep. And again, that was strong cards like Dockside are bad in casual because they get you targeted out of the game.
It's not a 1 for me, only because there is some validity to it, but there's also a good amount of validity to it. But that's not going to be every game. There are some people who are just going to be like, yeah, it's a Dockside. Enjoy your 3 treasures, nerd.
Or it's exactly what Eric's tells us all the time. Dockside is just bad for casual, and I've just never seen anyone who hasn't won a game with a Dockside cast.
And to be fair, for Eric's argument, when it comes to his stance and people disagreeing, I'm like, no, you don't understand. He speaks as far as he is concerned, he speaks truth. Every game that he's ever been in, if Dockside shows up, he loses that turn. It does happen. There's
been a lot of games I've been in that I've had a Dockside in hand, and I'm like, I could technically cast this and get my treasures back because I'm going against a mono green stompy deck and stuff. So it really just depends on the pod and the situation you're in.
Yeah, truthfully, I could see why that would happen to him more often because he runs that all artifact deck.
The messed up thing is that's not the deck that ever gets Dockside. The people don't Dockside him with that deck. That's the instance in which it doesn't normally happen. That's the weird part.
That is really weird. Because that's just Treasure City, baby.
I think the only person who's ever done a Dockside against him that I've seen in a game with that is literally me, and I didn't get to do anything but win. I ended up going crazy with it and then winning.
Yeah, it absolutely can go crazy. I think Dockside in particular, I think can be really hit or miss just depending on what your pod and you're in. Especially if you're going against a lot of green decks that aren't using mana rocks. Artifacts and enchantments are nice, but a lot of casual decks are going to be focused more on the creatures and things of that nature. Unless you're in colors that can't support green where you're having to use artifacts to kind of get your ramp going and stuff like that.
Eat your heart out, Smothering Tithe.
Seriously.
But that was letter D. Letter E, Universes Beyond is an overall positive thing for the game.
I'm going to put that at a 2.
Okay.
Say it one more time.
Universes Beyond is an overall positive thing for the game.
I'm going to put it at a 1.
Okay. And what is our reasoning for putting it very high?
So it is not the same Universes Beyond as when it first got announced, where it was very cash grabby. It was very limited, where people were going to get that FOMO initially. Nowadays, it's getting full set releases. That is full box purchases that you don't necessarily need to go out and grab immediately or else miss out. We're getting Final Fantasy as a full box set. We got Lord of the Rings, which even a lot of the people who are like, I hate Universes Beyond, came together and been like, Lord of the Rings was a fantastic set for Magic, even if it brought in more problematic cards for certain formats, i.e. the One Ring and Orcish Bowmasters.
I will say, I am ecstatic. I have levels of excitement no one can comprehend for when we get Final Fantasy. It is everything I ever wanted.
Yeah. Trust me,
everything.
I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a full episode just to geek out on Final Fantasy down the line.
Yeah,
but even then, it's gotten people into Magic that normally wouldn't immediately have gotten into it. My mom now owns 2 Magic cards because of Universes Beyond.
We are past the days of Rick Grimes being oh man, Universes Beyond. Why is Walking Dead in my card game? We're long past that into oh my gosh, I finally have Sauron. So on and so forth. As far as overall opinions.
Now, Rick Grimes is probably one of the most fascinating case studies in psychology that Magic has to offer, because I don't think I've seen a product that had so much objection to it whenever the Walking Dead Secret Lair was initially released, because it is a secret lair, all mechanically unique cards. This is the only place you can get them. Scalpers are going to just absolutely butcher you if you're just a really big fan of The Walking Dead. And everyone's like, don't buy this. It's terrible. And the amount of FOMO that hit with that card, it was the highest selling Sacred Lair of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Rick Grimes is, in fact, the only reason people really got that because it was so strong in the Eternal formats.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a fantastic, if you're doing a human typal, like if you have the ability to put that in, or they did give us the magic variant of it if you're trying to keep universes within. They haven't sold very well, so they're stopped doing them. But I did like it when you could get like a Cathar version of Rick for your deck.
Well, they stopped doing it because they put it in one of the worst slots for people to get it. And they're just like, well, it doesn't do well. No shit, it doesn't do well. You put it in the worst slot to make it do well.
If we had been in the day and age of, and I use Rick Grimes as my example because it's the pinnacle of, at the time, that is when people hated Universes Beyond. It would have been like a 10 if we'd been anywhere near that time, because I would have been like, this is an awful idea. This is bad for everybody. But we're
way past that.
All right, we're moving on to letter F here. The person who is visibly the threat isn't actually the threat 9 times out of 10. Almost every pod includes a player that's going to go off if their small combo pieces stick.
That's a 3.
I'm
think it's 3?
I'm going to put it at a 6.
6, okay. So, Joe?
So I put it at a 3 because there has been so many games I have been a part of where people kept saying, Joe's the threat, Joe's the threat. And then I just don't win, like at all. Usually the actual threat is the person biding their time. And sometimes it's even the person who is saying they're the threat, they're the threat.
I feel like that's closer to being a hot take than.
No, like that's what the actual take is, saying the person who is being called the threat is not actually the threat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think it just depends on the validity of the strategy you have. Because like if you have a storm deck, they're not going to look like the threat until they are. You have to really kind of keep a track of how much mana they have and how much they're drawing and what cards are in their hand. Versus if you have like a typal deck that only cares about swinging sideways like dinosaurs, they're going to look very much like the threat all the time. Like it is very abundantly transparent. So I think people have a tendency just to focus more what's on board, just as kind of a knee-jerk reaction, because that is no knowledge. You know what's there. It's not, they might have something. It is, they have that thing. Gishath is here.
If I could have put this at 8, I would have, but unfortunately my 8 slot is taken. The reason I think it's closer to a hot take than being based is that I have many, many games, some of which I complain on this podcast, where I stress really heavily. I'm like, you're doing this thing thinking I'm scary. I am telling you this is going to happen. Here are the cards that are going to get played because we've seen them and you're going to get us all killed. And then they proceed to disregard my statement and then we die that next turn.
You have the opposite problem with me.
Right.
As we've found many, many times.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here, I'm like, my guy, he just revealed Triumph of the Hordes and he's got 30 power. Please.
Now for letter G. This format isn't meant to be played with strangers. Playing with actual friends solves 99% of the problems people have with the format.
I'm going to put that at a 9.
I'm going to say it one more time.
This format isn't meant to be played with strangers. Playing with actual friends solves 99% of the problems that people have with the format.
I'm going to put that at 10.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
I'm going to learn from my mistakes and keep my 10 slot open.
That is fair. Basically, this is saying that when you're in a play group that consistently plays with each other, you can kind of tailor your decks for your experience. Versus if you're playing with just random people at an LGS, it's kind of a bit of a crapshoot, especially with power levels concerned. That is kind of, I think, what they're getting at there.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they're ones who are just fully disconnected from Commander in general, because that's not what Sheldon Menery wanted to do with this format. Sheldon Menery, in fact, wanted to play with as many people as possible. He didn't care if his decks were tailored for anyone. He just cared to have a good, long game.
When I tell you the opinions I have of like go out, experience everything, that is something I literally talked to Sheldon about. That is something I hold near and dear to my heart. So that is as bad as opinion as they come for me.
Yes, super hot take.
All right. Here is letter H. If you're being an asshole, the table can scoop you.
Oh yeah, that's a 1.
Hey, we got Joe's 1 off the board.
Asshole.
We got my 2.
Assholes
That's a based
get
opinion.
scooped on.
Get
don't-
scooped on, nerd.
Granted, I don't know the context of this. I think it's more of behavior rather than like just playing stack stuff.
Yeah, for this, it is very specifically scoop at sorcery speed, unless that person is being legitimately the worst kind of person outside of the game. If you don't want to be with that person, you don't have to. Pick up your cards. Go. That guy.
Not literally.
Yes, not literally.
Unless
But also, like, introduce him to a good wood chipper, maybe. Like,
Not literally.
literally
note.
on the first one, not literally on the second one, please.
please note, the Thought Vessel does not condone putting people into wood chippers.
You gonna get us canceled?
Just introduce them to a good one.
Just introduce them, he says, as he gently nudges.
Look, if somebody is being an asshole, you do not have to stay playing with that person. It is better for your mental health to scoop up, go, and just play with different people. You do not need to stay in that game.
Out of curiosity, just for, I guess, context for our listeners, give me an example of something that would be like, we're going to instantly gonna kind of scoop this person out. Like, what is something that somebody have to be in that asshole realm to justify this, in your opinion?
Hey, Levi, you remember that story I started off the freaking show with?
Going against word?
Yeah,
Oh,
where the guy just kept lying.
I'm not gonna attack you with this Eldrazi. Proceeds to attack with the Eldrazi. Then we pick up our stuff or we pull out the most heinous things imaginable until they leave.
I think my line's a little bit different because that's still technically in game.
Yeah, since it's in game, yeah. If it is moving to out of the game and they are like verbally berating someone, just probably the line is when they're verbally berating someone for like a misplay and not even being like, dude, it's a game. And they keep going in. I don't want to play with you anymore. You are taking this game way too seriously and it's no longer a fun game. This isn't a tournament. We are not playing for a cash prize. We are playing for fun and relaxation.
Okay, I have a better one actually. Chaos players. Sorry, not sorry. You stay the away from me.
I think the best example I've heard was from EDH deck building, where I think because Chaos players, for the most part, like they're not playing with a end game I'm winning through this way in mind. They're just doing random stuff. So it's a power level issue.
No.
So if I'm playing like a 6, 7, 8, like we're trying to win the game, like the deck has an idea of this is how things are going to end, then if they're playing at like a 4, I don't want to be in their pod because I'm not going to play at that power level.
I refuse to play with a chaos player. I don't care. Every single one of them swears they're not that guy, but they
Look,
are.
Chaos players, I'm not of the same opinion. But if you are verbally berating someone for a misplay for a casual game, get scooped on. You are not in the right environment for this.
I think for me, it would have to be, it's less of being an asshole and it's more of like if I'm getting sketched out by the person.
Yeah, that
Like,
too.
If they're saying like super like racist stuff or they're being overly sexual or, something like that, I'm like, all right, I don't really feel comfortable around you. I'm going to move on.
Yes, but also like if there's a play style you genuinely cannot tolerate for whatever reason after experiencing it enough of times, you scoop on that guy.
Yeah.
If they're gonna actively do something, you go, can you not? And they go, oh, but I really want to do this. You do not have to play with them. It is not their mandatory right to make you play with them.
You do not have to stay in a space that you feel uncomfortable.
All right. We're going to move on to letter I here. Very simple. Ban the entire reserve list.
Oh,
God damn it. I spent my 1.
I wish I hadn't spent my 1, but it's going to at least go to this 3.
It's going to a 6.
That is the most base thing I could have ever heard.
Unban reserve list.
No, ban.
Ban the reserve
Ban
list.
the entire reserve
Oh,
list.
Ban the whole thing.
I mean, unban, ban, tomato.
But yeah, this, for those of you who don't know, reserve list is the cards that Wizards of the Coast have promised to never reprint at this point. So you have things like the OG Duels, Gaia's Cradle, things of that nature. Wheel of Fortune would be on that
Player
list as
Academy.
well, which makes these cards very, very expensive, but also creates a collector's market in which they don't have to worry about reprint risk. So if you wanted to invest in a card and not have it reprint into oblivion like a Soul Ring, you have a place to park your money if you're looking to use Magic as an investment vehicle.
I don't feel as bad of having that at 6. I feel bad that it can't be like lower for like a colder take, but I don't feel bad that it's at 6.
Sure.
I'm mad that it's not 1.
Because I can understand, especially given like CDH. For the most part, outside of like wizard sanctioned tournaments and certain people who want you to spend money, proxies are okay. That's the main reason why it's not like a super cold take for me. You can just proxy it, and the people that are going to care about it, you again don't have to play with them.
I mean, granted, if I play like an OG duel or something, sometimes I get like a look like, oh, we're doing that kind of power level. When it might just be like I technically own one OG duel right now, which is a Tundra, because I play a shit ton of Azorius.
Which is also funny because I feel like the entirety of the casual side has started to distance themselves from like, oh, OG duel means power. I think they are starting to realize, no, powerful cards are power.
Like it can signify that like you're cutting no you're cutting no corners, like you're making this as efficient as possible. But the power level increase of having an OG duel versus like a shock or like battle bond land or something is like 0.1%.
Or even a basic land.
It's minimal.
Guys, you're not seeing the big picture here. Gaia's Cradle.
I mean,
It didn't do anything wrong.
Gaia's
So
Cradle.
I'm kind of the stance of, if I was ranking this, I'd have it more on the like the higher side personally, where I am of the opinion, I think the reserve list is good for Magic in the sense of the secondary economy. But if you want to ban them all from Commander, I'm fine with that.
I wouldn't be sad if that happened. But also, I would be like, but also the powerful cards would have been nice.
I mean, we can deal. Commander players will survive it without OG duels and Gaia's Cradle.
I stand on this hill ready to fight God and everyone else. Either unban Tolarian's Academy or ban the rest of them.
I'm just thinking about other things, such as, Wheel of Fortune. Wow, I had it in my head and now it's gone. I probably would also say like Time Twister. City of Traitors. We'd also lose that, which is at least...
It's only getting CDH play.
Okay. Tabernacle.
Eh?
I mean, we got other things that can do that effect in the game, so.
Yeah.
We have...
Like, all of these things, except for the specific ones I'm targeting, as far as lands, we have other ones of them. Get rid of them or unban the rest of these things, please.
I think a different part of that is that there are non-powerful cards that are part of the reserve list, and that just kind of gets them pushed out unnecessarily. Because there are, in fact, a lot of cards that are like very meh at all, and they're part of the reserve list. That's why I'm not full on board, but now I can be like, probably not ban the entire reserve list. I can certainly see like banning some of the powerful cards.
All right. And for letter J, what number do you still have available, Jacoby?
7.
You have 7 and
10.
10. And our most positive one of the day. Mid power is dead. It is high power, low power, and CEDH.
Mid power is dead is a great number 10 for me.
Actually, I'm okay with that being 7 for me.
That is
I
fair.
like mid
Look,
power.
this is in fact a complete 180 from the last time we did this. Casual sucks. Coldest take. Mid power is dead. Hot take.
For me, I think it's really interesting because with mid power is dead, because like I think there's a little bit of validity to it because we're getting so many powerful cards consistently, and there's more access to these powerful cards that it's really hard to not kind of shift towards higher power.
Well, I mean, even then, remember some of our first episodes where we talked about the actual power level and how it's not so much that mid power is dead. It's just shifted what it means to be mid power. High power is certainly in a different league now, closer to CDH, but it is still high power. Just like mid power still is mid power. You are still able to get there.
We run into a lot of people, like the gentleman and the lady we ran into at the convention, who look at mid power and go, oh man, I can't believe you brought CDH level stuff to the table, and get like super upset and scoop, not understanding what that actually looks like.
Yeah, that was with, you were using Wizards, I was using Chulane Blink at that time.
Yep. And like they brought these kind of lower standard decks where it was like an Enchantress deck that couldn't physically do anything and a commander who was just the center of the deck and it had no other real things going on.
That was the problem because he was using a monolith commander. So naturally, I'm going to hold up removal for it. And then the other person, like I had an Aura Shards in the field and she was an Enchantress deck. So like it was more of a, y'all need to figure out what to do with the Aura Shards before you can get going. And they just did not have an answer.
On top of that, the other, and even the stuff you Aura Shards, none of it was that impactful even if it stayed there. It wasn't going to do a whole lot. So like the complaint was almost moot. It was like, oh man, I didn't get to keep my Myth Unbound and my like 2 other like generically meh enchantments. It's like, yeah. Like it's free removal. That's the only reason it really mattered to us.
That's why I say that it's more of where it has shifted instead of it just being dead.
People look at some of our decks and they go, man, I can't believe you brought an 8 into this pot. I'm like, try a 5 maybe.
And that's
but
what,
look, that's just because they haven't
seen
seen Wizards in Expropriate casted twice and people gave you 8 turns.
They look at the things I'm doing and they're like, oh my God, it's so powerful. Failing to realize it's still just a combat deck. I can't hurt you unless I'm punching you. And I have no creatures.
It's that spinning of the wheels.
All right. So we have officially finished off the list here. So we have the results coming up. And we'll start at the top. So number 1 is letter E. Universes Beyond is overall a positive thing for the game.
That is in fact the coldest take. I still get a single point.
Oh yeah, nailed that one on the head.
There you go. All right. Number 2, letter C. WotC designing commander only cards goes against the spirit of the format. Being that it was designed originally as a casual off to the side, it does make a little bit of sense in their logic that building stuff specifically for Commander, where it used to be just finding stuff we had around. Bit of a boomer take, but I think there is some validity to that ranking.
Yeah,
All
each
right.
their own.
If you're being an asshole, the table can scoop you. Letter H is number 3.
I hate that is, in fact, so close to point.
Oh, you are 1 off. That is great.
I was also
hate
1 off. I was also 1 off. I had it at number 2.
Oh, so you got a point. There you
Yeah.
go.
No,
He had it at number 1.
I'm 2 off. That's why I hate it.
He was 1 off of the point range.
I'm so sorry.
All right, number 4 is letter B. If you buy a card in a language you can't read and you don't know exactly what it does, that's incredibly rude to the table you're playing with.
Well, that's 1 off, at least.
Yep.
Number 5, Commander/CEDH tournaments aren't real Commander.
Man.
What letter is that?
That is letter A. Number 6 is letter F. The person who is visibly the threat isn't actually the threat 9 times out of 10. Almost every pod includes a player that's going to go off if their small combo pieces stick.
Nailed that one right on the head, too.
Nope.
I think it just assumes that there's more combo decks being played in their pod. Just because like around where we live, like combo decks get demonized so much that I have a hard time playing them. Even though I do like a good combo.
Yep.
Even if it's like 5 or 6 cards deep.
I just don't want to have to deal with it.
And number 7 is mid power is dead. It's high power, low power, and CEDH. So Jacoby, you lucked out on that one.
It's J?
Yep.
7 is
letter
J.
Hey.
So that's the only one you had left.
I'm going to be real low. That's also where I would have put it, though.
I'm getting none of these.
I've nailed at least 3 of these.
Letter I, ban the entire reserve list is number 8.
I need the letters, please.
Letter I.
I. Okay.
He in fact started with I.
It's all good.
I thought it was like I say this, not my bad.
Number 9 is letter D. Strong cards like Dockside are bad and casual because they get you targeted out of the game. I guess their logic here is they will get you targeted, but hopefully you're getting enough strength off of that value to overcome it. And finally, letter G, which made me chuckle a little bit because you're like, I'm going to save my 10 for later, was actually number 10. This format isn't meant to be played with strangers. Playing with actual friends solves 99 of the problems people have with this format.
I 100%. I stand by it 100. Even if it wasn't G, I would have said that's the hottest take on the planet.
3. Jacoby.
3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 total.
That's an ass beating.
Yeah, apparently I don't know what people want. What do you want, people?
You know what's really funny? The last one we were kind of close, and it's like, yeah, I know a little bit better. This time I got it, Joe. This is
So
real.
I guess he resonated.
What were you talking about with like knowing the people? Apparently I know nobody.
I speak for the people. I am here for the trees.
Guess you and the collective were not on the wavelength of that one. One thing I did want to bring up is with the playing only with your group of friends, I think you run the serious risk of arms racing at that point.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing against the same people over and over and one person's continuously winning and everyone kind of brings their deck up to that level, and then you kind of have this parity where y'all end up playing like borderline CDH, which for some people, that's what they like. That's cool. But if you're trying to keep it lower power, it can be very frustrating where like, I want to build this new deck, but if I try this strategy, it has no validity in my play group, I'm going to get blown out. That doesn't really feel great.
Plus, you tend to put more silver bullet cards that are only good in that group, which then when you take that deck, it's like, this deck's really strong against my friends back home. Play it. And then you just get pub stomped because you have no concept of what an actual field of play looks like.
These are the people who want this opinion to be less valid, are the people who look at my Wizards deck and go, oh man, it's so high powered, and then fail to realize it's like my man in Christ. This is not as high power as you think it is. You just look at some of the things that you see in your own group and you're like, but it's really not that bad. It's okay.
It's not that bad. Not that bad. Not that bad.
It's like, it's okay. Your hot take is valid until it's not. Come, learn about my crappy deck.
Now, I will say, I am at least glad that the ban the reserve list is a little bit higher up too.
Yeah, I think if I personally was ranking some of these, I think Joe, you and I would have been a little bit closer on a lot of these, but I was not the one to rank it, so
yeah,
that's just how the cookie crumbles. And it's a blind ranking; it can be a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get got.
I like that of the validity that some of the opinions I had were rather transparently agreed upon in a majority rank here.
And for those of you listening out there, if you have any other Commander hot takes that you want us to use for a future episode, send them our way on Twitter or through our Facebook or email thoughtvesselshow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to get them included, and we'll be building more lists for the future. Any other final comments to the nice people before we let them go?
Assholes get scooped on should be a much colder take.
Yeah.
Like full stop.
We hit it at 3.
Yeah, it should be 1. It shouldn't actually beat out Universes Beyond.
No.
Hey.
I think it deserves to be maybe 2.
Nope. I think that one particularly should be at number 1.
No,
because if you don't want to play with somebody, you should not be forced to play with them. 100%. That should be the coldest take out there.
No. Here's my counter argument. We should not excommunicado ideas and concepts in Magic just because you don't like it. You can always just scoop up.
It's not in Magic. It is they are being visceral to you for no actual good reason. Scoop up.
Yeah, like if you're going against somebody that's playing like a Grand Arbiter Augustin the Fourth deck or something, that's not like a particular like we're gonna kick you out. It's more of the like, hey, I'm telling a lot of like inappropriate jokes, or I'm being really verbally abusive to someone at the table, or I'm being creepy or whatever.
Literally
you can do those things, but I'm saying I stand by my decision. That's all I'm saying. Like you're taking it way, way, way farther and deeper than I am trying to do here.
But that's why I'm saying where I'm at. That's why.
And I think we all officially have another thing to add to our Rationally Angry list today. So we will leave it at that. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And y'all have a fantastic rest of your week. This has been the Thought Vessel. Enjoy.